about that. For those of us who are tenured faculty, yeah, just tick the list. Remember to change the year. The other topic I wanted to talk about is cross-listing within Elearn, sort of a whole another pace kind of frame of mind here. But before the semester begins, and usually faculty have to have this request made at least 1 week, I think, prior to the beginning of courses, so somewhere around the 14th of January, I think will probably be the cutoff date. It used to be a little later, but I think they give with a week so that they've got some buffer time, the TLC, in order to make these things happen. Cross-referencing or cross-listing, I always call it the wrong thing. It's cross-listing of courses. There are two places, I'm going to say this first. There are two places where faculty can find the link to the cross-listing request form. One is in Faculty's My DSEC under the Faculty tab, and on the left-hand side of the screen, under Faculty Links, it's near the bottom of that group. It's under, you've got Elearn and email and course materials requests and all those other things. Near the bottom of that group is the cross-listing request form. Also in Elearn, under the faculty resources on the right-hand side of the screen, I think it's a second item, it's a cross-listing request form. Cross-listing means that inside Elearn, you can have 1, 2, 3, a number of courses merged into a single course shell. The courses have to be the same class. For instance, I teach English, and normally in the spring I have 2 sections of Early World Lit, and I do request those to be cross-listed, so it's one course shell. So it has to be the same course, same alphanumeric course. The course also has, or the courses also have to be the same start and end dates within the semester. That way, students are not confused about things but the course ends and there's another 5 modules or something like that. If, for instance, if a faculty member tried to cross-reference a 5 or 7 week class within the traditional 14, 15-week semester. So the courses need to be the same course, same alpha numeric. The courses need to have the same start and end dates. And then to complete the request form, it's really nice. If you don't know your D number, this is a dynamic form, and so it populates your name, your D number. You do have to include the very clear alphanumeric and then term designations for the courses that the faculty member is wanting to merge into a single Elearn course shell. And really easy to find that information. You go to your keypad in Elearn at the top of the screen, and when you click on the keypad, it has that information, such as ENGL 2310, and then it has the CRN period, and then the designation like 2025-10 for spring 25. And so you'll need that information for to complete the request form, and you'll need it for all the courses that you're planning to merge. You do need to select a faculty member. You need to have in mind which course shell you want all of those students to be placed into. I was going to say dumped, that's not a nice word, to appear within. And you want to be cognizant of your decisions so that when you're, building the course, filling up that course shell, you're filling up the right one, because the cross-listing reference will remove any of the course shells from your view that are not going to be the home course for all the students to be put into that single course shell everybody will be merged into. So those other ones will disappear. So if you've been working on a course already, you want to make sure that's the one that you make the home course basically for your cross-listing, so that you don't lose that work you've already been doing, and so that students are merged into the section you've been working on. There are good things about cross-listing and merging students into a single course shell. It does reduce the number of icons when you go into Elearn. Instead of having 5, 6, or 7, you might only have 4 or 5, 2 or 3, depends on how you merge. So that's a good thing. It is efficient. Instead of having to update across multiple course shells for the same course in case you're changing a date, or in case we're putting some notification out for a weather event, which is highly likely in the spring, or updating some material, you found something that you wanted to add to a course. Instead of having to add it to several different course shells, you can add it to one. When you send an email or a reminder, or you put new news items out, it's more efficient, goes into one shell. Some of the problems or some of the challenges that faculty members would face, because I've used this before myself and I use it now, is that when you go to grade, instead of possibly having 24 to 27, you're going to have possibly 54 assignments for those that you have to self-grade. And if your brain likes to work with 24 or 25, be done with a section and move on, then this may not be a really great choice for you, or you may have to work your brain into understanding that this is one of the challenges you may have to accept. So you do have to know how your brain works and what works for you and your brain, and you can try it once and not ever do it again. It's not something you have to make the request every semester. So it's not something that's going to happen continuously without your requesting it. Another challenge is that Banner will always have the separate sections, the original sections, or the correct or the different sections that students actually enrolled in. So to do attendance reporting, midterm grades, final grades, the students will be broken out into, the section 1, section 2, section 3. So a little bit of a challenge happens there with making sure that the correct grade goes to the correct student. There are a couple of ways to reduce one's stress about that. You can print out or keep a copy of the summary class list or of the attendance reporting page. You can copy and paste that to keep a record for yourself, and maybe hand fill it in or fill it in on a document, and then have that open while you are inputting the grades or the attendance reporting. You can also you can do that for the attendance reporting for the midterm and for the final grades. I've worked with it without having a special page. I just have my pages open. I'm just really cautious. But again, if you're kind of nervous it's your first time around, then you might either want to have a document or print out, and that way you can be very conscientious and careful as you do the cross-listing or as you report grades, attendance, and grades in Banner. That is separate, and that is a little bit of a challenge for other people. Some of the people that I recommend consider cross-referencing or cross-listing, sorry. If you have Zoom classes, it's the same class across 2 or 3 locations. That is what got me into cross-listing, because I was teaching a Zoom class, synchronous class, and I was trying to put people into working groups inside Zoom and also have them in their groups then report out into a discussion post. And I had to make sure that I put those students that were in the same class in the same groups. I couldn't just say, hey, Zoom, put them anywhere, make random groups. And that eats up time in class, because even though you can plan out what groups you're going to have before the Zoom meeting begins, you can't actually move people into those breakout rooms until it's time. And so until there are actually people in the meeting, and you can do that. So that's time consuming. If you have something where you want students to be able to work on group projects, and whether it's in an online class or a Zoom class, and you want them to be able to work with all the students, particularly in Zoom, across the locations, then again, if they're in one course shell in Elearn, They have access to the class list for all the students across the, they've all been merged in that one course shell. They can see everybody in the class. Discussion posts for everybody are available. Anything that you load it one time or change it one time, and all the students can access that at that point. So there's some really helpful things, particularly when Zooming across different locations, to expedite the students' experience and reduce the stress that you might have as the instructor in trying to make so many things happen at so many moments so effectively. Certainly had online courses. Again, a lot of instructors do the cross-listing for online courses, and that really helps. Of course, one has to keep in mind that when you go out to grade, it's going to be a lot, and you just have to work your mind around that. I have cross-listed the same course that met at different times. I had some dual enrollment. Both sections were totally dual enrollment from a high school, and just one met at one time, like 8 o'clock, and the next group met at 9:35. And I did merge those one time. I was concerned that students in the second class might work ahead and claim when they came into class, oh, I already did that, and I'm leaving. And there would be a problem with, of course, my responsibility as the instructor being keeping those students in class. Didn't happen, I will say that. Nobody was an overachiever, but I haven't merged those two since, just again because of my concern with my responsibility as keeping the students in class and not wanting to fight that fight with students in class. So there are lots of good reasons to cross-list, but there are challenges, and as an instructor, you just have to kind of figure out, how does my brain work? How do I like to engage with students, particularly when there are things that you have to grade? How do you like to engage that? But do you realize it is and can provide a lot of efficiency and effectiveness within Elearn? With Banner, you're going to have to break them back out into the separate sections. That's all for this edition, Special Topics in DSpeak. Happy day. Bye.